There are some insane deals that have gone live on the Xbox Store this week, and there are a ton of games that are at the lowest price points that we've ever seen before. We have a ton of bangers to cover in today's video that I may have to do a follow-up in the next couple of days, but for now, I will cover the 16 games that you need to pick up for this week. Before we do dive in though, remember I do give away a free Xbox game here on the channel every single week on these sales videos. All you have to do is just comment below discussing anything Xbox related and you're automatically entered. Congratulations to last week's winner. I definitely do agree with you. As being a dad myself, I always look at the Xbox Store sometimes and think, damn, those prices though. So these sales videos are always something that I love putting together for you, so I hope you find them pretty awesome. Now let's dive into the sales that have been going on for this week, and I tell you what, there are some bangers here. First up, I actually wanted to highlight one of my favourite indie games that I experienced a few years back now, and that is none other than Wavetale. This one actually begins with a mysterious shadow that follows you under the water, and then unfolds into a breezy, more heartfelt adventure where gliding across the ocean actually becomes second nature to you. You basically take control of a girl called Sigrid as she navigates a post-flooded cityscape, uncovering her lost memories and then rebuilding what was lost. It's not just the storytelling though that pulls you into this experience, it's actually how effortlessly the game lets you move around. Every wave that you skim, every rooftop that you swing from really feels like flow state gaming in its purest form. Visually though, you can think of it like pastel watercolors in motion and it looks bloody wonderful. It is a pretty short experience, but it was one that's incredibly memorable, and right now it's just £2.49 and easily its lowest price to date. Well, Little Kitty Big City finally makes its way into one of these sales videos, and if you haven't somehow played this indie gem as of yet, now's the best chance to do so. This one drops you into an open sandbox where you're free to do one thing: cause problems. You can climb signs, steal snacks, nap in baskets, or pretty much just stare blankly at people who clearly don't understand your genius. Underneath the cuteness on display though, there is actually a surprisingly well-designed world that's full of secrets and side objectives, and the story here is actually pretty sweet, as you're tasked with working out puzzles to basically get back home. There's no combat and no timers, it's just you, your tiny hats, and the whole city to explore. The £10.49 sale price is especially good considering how new this game is, and we don't actually see it on sale very often. So if you've got any love for chill exploration and just cat energy, it's an easy recommendation. Few games are as cruel and as captivating as Rain World. In this one, you're not just the hero here, you're actually the prey. You'll be playing as a vulnerable slug cat in a decaying ecosystem, and your survival basically depends on mastering your movement, timing, and ultimately just having some sheer luck. Everything in the game behaves independently. Predators will stalk you, but they will also stalk each other. It's actually a world that exists with or without you, and that makes every encounter feel very real, but ultimately quite terrifying. The first few hours, don't get me wrong, are quite disorientating, but then once it clicks, the feeling of survival just one more day is quite electric. It's bleak for sure, but it's somehow strangely beautiful, both in its art style and its atmosphere. To be honest, £10.50 gets you an experience at its all-time low, and if you can stomach the challenge, it's unlike anything else on the Xbox Store. This next game is truly wild, and although it wasn't rated that highly upon its release, it's a bloody fun time. One minute you'll be slicing through enemies with a katana, and the next you're watching an anime cutscene about ramen, and then all of a sudden you'll be playing a claw machine minigame out of nowhere. Wanted Dead doesn't try to explain itself, and honestly I think that's kind of the charm here. The combat is a mashup of third-person shooting and melee action, with executions that feel straight out of a 2006 era 360 game. It's unpolished, absolutely, but that jank kinda comes with a weird sort of personality, like it knows exactly what kind of game it wants to be and doesn't care if it's not for everyone. At just £5, thanks to a massive 80% off this week, it's a chaotic ride that's definitely worth taking. Let's be real, Sniper Elite has always been about slow motion X-ray kill cams, and they're still absolutely grotesque here, but Sniper Elite 5 brings way more to the table. This one though is set in Nazi-occupied France and offered us a sprawling open-ended map that encouraged freedom and creativity in how you tackle each of its objectives. Maybe you might snipe them 300 yards away, maybe you might sabotage a vehicle and wait for a target to stroll by, or maybe you'll get spotted and have to improvise your way through a full-blown firefight. The game is absolutely open-ended, and I think that's why I just grew so attached to it. The addition of PvP invasions for the first time in the series added some real tension here, especially when another sniper's hunting you mid-mission. £13.74 is currently the lowest it's been in terms of its price point, and since it left Game Pass, this is the time to grab it, especially if you haven't experienced it before. Tchia is leaving Game Pass next week, so make sure to grab this deal before it expires. To give you an idea, this is a game that feels like a breath of warm tropical air in the middle of your backlog. Inspired by the culture and landscapes of New Caledonia, this one actually blends open world exploration with magical abilities that let you soul jump into animals and objects. The world is very vibrant, of course, as you can probably see on screen now, and it's full of wonder. And while it's not a combat heavy experience by any means, it thrives on letting you wander, glide, and just play your ukulele in a setting that feels deeply heartfelt. What made me really fall in love with my time with Tchia though is just the overarching story and that heartfelt narrative behind it. At just £10, this 60% discount makes it one of the most relaxing and emotionally rich games that you can buy right now on the Xbox Store. And you know what else makes me emotional? Knowing that 75% of you are not subscribed to one of the fastest growing Xbox communities here on YouTube. If you want to see more Xbox content like news, reviews, updates, exclusive previews, and so much more, then hit that subscribe button down below, as it really helps me and supports the channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's dive back into the remaining sales for this week. There are a few games that made me feel the thrill of movement quite like Valley. This one's actually a first-person adventure game where you wear a leaf suit, and that lets you sprint faster than a cheetah and then leap across vast canyons and supernatural grace. Honestly, what really hooked me about this experience though wasn't the momentum, it was actually the way the story quietly pulled me into something larger and more emotional than I originally expected. This one though is set in a hidden valley filled with ancient tech and forgotten secrets, and there's actually a surprisingly thoughtful narrative beneath that speed-running surface. It feels like a blend of games like Mirror's Edge, Journey, and Firewatch, but the insanely low price of just £1.20 is absolutely criminal not to just buy it. I absolutely adore this game, and it's one that really doesn't go on sale often, so I highly recommend you dive into it as soon as possible. This next game is completely unhinged, and I mean that kind of in the best way possible. Choo-Choo Charles is a survival horror game where your main enemy is a spider-legged demonic train with a clown face, and yes, it is as ridiculous as it sounds. You'll basically be roaming an island in your own upgradable train, completing different quests, collecting scraps, and then just trying to stay alive while Charles stalks you relentlessly. It's scrappy and chaotic, but that is kind of part of the charm of this game. I genuinely had a blast laughing, screaming, and scrambling to fix my train before Charles came barreling in. And usually, as you know, I'm not a fan of horror games, but this one really did hook me. If you love weird indie horror games or just want something you'll never forget, this one absolutely delivers. At just £4.18, it's a wild, creative, and totally bonkers experience that absolutely is worth your time. The title of this next game might make it sound like an absolute joke, but Bang on Balls Chronicles is honestly one of the most unexpectedly fun platformers that I've played in years. In this one, you essentially roll around as a customizable ball of chaos through themed open world levels, that being pirate battles, Viking invasions, space missions, and so much more. The levels here are huge and filled with tons of secrets, ridiculous weapons, and slapstick mayhem, and the fact that you can play this in solo or even co-op makes it just so much better. It's got that sort of one more thing to collect energy and a goofy heart that makes it so hard to stop smiling. I do love it personally because it captures the spirit of games like Banjo-Kazooie or Katamari Damacy, but does it with physics-based comedy and surprisingly solid gameplay. It's only £7.34 this week, and to me that's a bloody steal and a total joy to play. I have to say, this one is one of the most original PvP experiences that I've played in ages. Meet Your Maker is all about building and raiding deadly outposts, so you can imagine it like Doom and Mario Maker had an apocalyptic baby. You basically construct your own twisted fortress filled with traps, guards, and hallways designed to frustrate other players, and then you'll take on community built levels to see if you can survive their own. What makes this so addictive though is the cycle of creativity and challenge. It's both a strategic sandbox game but also a fast-paced shooter. I personally love it because it's just pure replayable chaos, but I do know that some were a bit mixed about this one, especially because some levels can be a bit cheesed, especially by some players. To be honest though, for £6.29 this week, this is kind of the perfect excuse to dive into this one and just check out one of the smartest, most inventive multiplayer indies out on the market right now. Yes, you may be a bit frustrated at times with how some people have actually designed their levels, but as well worth experiencing, especially when you get an absolute gem. Few games in the last decade have actually undergone such a radical transformation as No Man's Sky. What began as an ambitious but really bare-bones space sim has evolved into one of the most expansive and feature-rich experiences out on the market. I was actually lucky enough at the time to not buy this game. I was so close to buying it. My friend actually bought it, and I have to say he was incredibly disappointed, but these days I can't recommend it enough. In this one, you'll basically be exploring endless procedurally generated planets, building massive bases, taming creatures, and then engaging in some cool deep space combats. All of this as well can be done in solo or full co-op, and the multiplayer aspect of it is actually pretty well thought out. Hello Games, as you can probably see right now, have poured years of updates into this world, and is now practically bursting with content, and we still see some free content and updates coming out so regularly. It's the kind of game that does reward your long-term play though, and will hook you within the first few hours. It's now £16 with a 60% discount, and this is actually the best discount we've ever seen for No Man's Sky since its release. If you somehow haven't dived into this one yet, I recommend it if you have Xbox Game Pass, but if you somehow don't have the subscription or you just want to own the game, then this is the best time to buy it. The Crysis series has always been about pushing hardware to the limit, and even now the Remastered Trilogy holds up actually surprisingly well. The whole moniker of does it actually run Crysis may not be as prevalent these days, but if you just want to relive the glory days or dive into this one for the first time and see what all the praise was all about back in the day, then this bundle delivers all 3 high-octane campaigns full of nanosuit-powered action and tactical freedom. Each of these games though gives you different sandbox-style maps where you'll basically sneak, snipe, or just go full Rambo, really depending on just how you want to play. The updated visuals bring a modern polish to the trilogy, and as a whole it feels pretty slick, smart and satisfying. It's only £10.43, and in this package you're getting 3 solid shooters that were once the gold standard in PC gaming. I was lucky enough to review Kenna Bridge of Spirits when it launched onto Xbox last year, and I have to say it was probably one of my favourite indies of 2024. This one though is a visually stunning action-adventure game that feels like stepping into a playable Pixar film. It has tons of lush forests alongside some great heartfelt storytelling and gorgeously animated character designs. This game though really nailed that sort of blend of light platforming, fast-paced combat and emotional narrative, and I think that's why this game really stands out to so many out there. What really surprised me most though was just how challenging and rewarding the combat here actually is, with timing and dodging and also strategy that plays a bigger role than expected. If you turn up the slider to the hardest difficulty setting, this one actually becomes as hard as a Souls-like, which I really wasn't expecting. At £17.49, this 50% off deal brings a lot of heart, polish and adventure for a very low price point. The Riftbreaker is actually a very bold fusion of base building, tower defense and twin stick shooting, and somehow it all works pretty brilliantly. In this one though, you take control of an elite scientist, or should I say commander, and a powerful mech suit, sent to a distant planet to build a portal for human colonization. That means you'll be harvesting your resources, setting up defenses, and then surviving massive alien assaults that grow even more intense the longer that you're there. Of course, as you can see, this game is a strategic one. It's very chaotic as well, and packed with tons of customization options for both your mech and also your base. What really makes it stand out in the crowd in terms of strategy games though is the sense of scale, as you feel both powerful but constantly under pressure. At £13.74, this discount is a strong value for a game that combines depth, replayability and explosive action in a way that really is hard to put down. If you've been craving the adrenaline rush of old school anti-gravity racers like Wipeout or F-Zero, then Redout Lightspeed Edition is about as close as it gets, only faster, sharper and way more intense. I do have to say that neither of the Redout games, so that being this one or Redout 2, ever go on sale often, so it's well worth picking up if you get a chance. This edition though that I'm including today includes the base game plus a ton of DLC, offering you dozens of tracks, ships and visuals that keep things very fresh. The speed in this game is absolutely blistering, and mastering the physics-based controls gives every race a steep but satisfying learning curve. It also looked gorgeous with its glowing neon visuals, and pulse-pounding music fit that sci-fi vibe perfectly. For £8, this is a massive package with more than enough content to keep your competitive edge sharp, and it's easily one of the best futuristic races that you can play right now. So what game are you looking to pick up in this sale? Let me know down below, as I'm always curious to see what games you're looking to grab when they're on sale, or what ones you would like to see in future videos. Remember to smash that like button as well, as it really helps push this channel to the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe as we're getting closer to that 70,000 mark. Whilst you're here though, why don't you check out my video on screen now as I cover the 12 brand new Xbox and Game Pass games that were arriving onto your Xbox consoles this week. There's a lot to get excited about, so you definitely don't want to miss that video.